Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, everyone. Depending on where you're joining in from, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's always a pleasure to be with you every Friday. And tonight is a very special edition because we wrap up our conversation on 5 things every business should do before the end of the year. Wow, it's been some sessions, right? So if you're just joining us, I'm your host, Joy Onyeso, and the Friday night hangout is our space where we have very interactive conversations on topical issues that can help you grow your personal and your business brand. And so tonight we continue the conversation on 5 things every business should do before the end of 2023, and we conclude that conversation today. I'm particularly excited because next week, Friday, is the last episode of the Friday Night Hangout for this amazing year 2023. Aren't you excited? We've had a number of things we've discussed for the whole of this 2023. And so this year, we're going to be wrapping up that amazing, excuse me, conversations we've had from January till date. So, as always, I would invite you to make yourself comfortable, get that drink. Thank you so much. I would invite you to make yourself comfortable, get your writing material, your notes, whatever it is you may need to take notes on as we delve into the conversation. Because tonight we're going to be talking on effective goal setting. As a business, you can't shut down operations for 2023 without setting your goals for 2024. It's very important that you set your goals for 2024 before you shut down so that when you resume in 2024, you will hit the ground running. So we're going to be looking at the different techniques for setting effective goal. But today I'm going to just be talking on one of such techniques because effective goal setting techniques are very, very important to you achieving your set goals. It's not just about your grit or your determination, but more of the process in setting those goals. How did you set the goals? Would go a long way in determining if you get to achieve your goals. And so that's why effective goal setting strategies is really central to your success in whatever endeavor you lay your heart on. Okay, so for tonight we're going to be looking at the SMART technique. Yes, I know you may have heard of the SMART technique because it has global recognition. It's a technique that we all talk about. But tonight we're going to unpack it a little bit more, and I'm going to invite you to be very proactive as we have this conversation. So if something resonates with you, just write it down. The essence of the conversation we have every Friday night is for us to get inspired, for us to get creative, for us to just look at what we're doing, and look at ways of improving what we're already doing. It's also a way of validating what you're doing. So I'm always excited coming to this conversation every Friday because I know that someone will go away different from the way they came in. So someone will go away different, someone will go away empowered, and it may be you. I want you to pay particular attention and be very reflective as we, move along in this conversation. Don't be in a hurry to wrap up for 2025. I know you must have gone through a lot from January through to December where almost people are tired. If you're anything like me, you're exhausted. You're just looking forward to the holidays. Yes, the holidays will come. Yes, we need to go on holidays, but let's prioritize. This is the time to set that goal for 2024. And if you've been able to set it way before now, amazing. But I want you to also, as we have this conversation, look at the goals you've set and then look through the technique you use in setting those goals. It will go a long way in helping you to know if what you set for yourself for 2024 is what you can realistically achieve. And for some of us, we may want to even use this technique to sort out ourselves for the end of the year. You will want to make sure that you're setting wrap up goals for 2023 and you're able to achieve those goals you've set. So we talk about meaningful goals, we talk about, effective goals. It's all dependent on the technique or the strategy that you use. And like I said earlier on, there are different techniques, but today I'm going to focus on the SMART strategy. Yes, you heard me, the SMART strategy. I know you know what it means, right? But even if you don't, not a problem. That's why we're here tonight, to have this amazing conversation. And so when we talk about SMART, we're talking about SMART. SMART. You want to set SMART goals. How then do you go about setting SMART goals? Now, for instance, if you are a professional and then the goal you set for yourself is that you want to be a leader in your organization, perhaps within the next 3 to 5 years, you want to be a leader in your organization. Now, you need to make your goal very specific. Saying that you want to be a leader in your organization is not as specific as it comes. Welcome, Mr. Shola. Welcome, Rosemary. Welcome, Nena. Nice to have you all here. Good evening. Thank God it's Friday. We're having conversations on effective goal setting. And I was giving an example of a professional who decides that he or she wants to become a leader in the organization. That's not a very specific goal. Why do I say that? That is because there are several leadership positions within the organization. And if we want to go with a SMART strategy, the first thing there, the S in the acronym, is specific. So you want to get as specific as possible as to the type of leadership position you want to occupy. So you, first of all, would need to look at the structure within your organization. What kind of structure exists in your organization? So what kind of leadership position do you want to occupy? Get specific. You cannot be general. You cannot be ambiguous in what you want to do. And you know why? The more ambiguous you are about your goal, the more difficult and challenging it is for you to achieve the goal. Clarity is very key. And you cannot set specific goals if you're not clear, if you don't have deep understanding of what you want to achieve. So be very specific. I'm giving the example of leadership. What kind of leadership position do you want to achieve? If it's mid-level, is it a team leader? Is it a departmental head? What is it? So you need to define that goal. What exactly is that goal? Get specific. So keep on peeling it. You know how onions is for those of us that know how to cook, right? Now, when you get an onion bulb, you don't just take the onion and throw it into whatever you want to cook. First, you have to unpeel it. An onion comes with different layers. So you unpeel until you get to the parts that you want to cut and use for cooking. That's how specific you need to get. So you need to unpeel, go through the layers, unfold the layers until you become very specific as to what goal you need to achieve, right? And that's the S. Remember, we're talking about SMART. S, specific. Now, when you set specific goals, you want to ensure that those goals are measurable. When you do what you do, you need to have a means of tracking what you're doing. And so you need to ask yourself the critical question: how do I know when I've achieved my goal? That speaks to measurement. If you don't know that when you've achieved your goals, then how would you even begin to get satisfied? How would you even keep yourself motivated? How would you evaluate your progress? So you need to be very clear as to what you're going to be measuring from the start point to the end point. That means that you need to look at all the actions you will take from the start to the finish and put out what you need to measure. What milestones are you going to know that when you've achieved them, that will tell that yes, you're making progress? It's those milestones you're going to be evaluating. So those actions from the beginning to the end. Remember, we're talking about the example I gave of leadership. So if, for instance, we decide that you want to be a departmental head, right, in your organization, then perhaps you may need to get some certifications if you don't have those certifications. So you may need to upskill, you may need to, learn more about the organizations, you may need to drive yourself further, you may need to form certain networks within the organization as well. So get very clear as to all the actions that you need to get done, and so you can start checking them as you are achieving those goals. So as you're achieving the actions, you are checking them. Oh, I've reached to this milestone. Check. So it's very important that you measure. If you're in business and then you set up a goal for yourself, by the year 2024, the end of 2024, my brand would be known all over Nigeria to become a national brand. You need to define, what does it mean to become a national brand? How would you know when you're becoming a national brand? Who are the key players in the industry, in the sector where you're working? What kind of how much would you how much revenue would you be coming in? I'm not even just talking about profit, but revenue now. And then you talk about, what will your client base look like? What will your return customer base look like? How many cities in Nigeria would you want your brand to be? When you talk about the first 10 brand in that your sector, in specific cities, your brand is mentioned. What will be the public awareness of your brand? So there are key things you need to put that you'll be measuring. And then this determines the kind of actions that you take. So it's not just to write down those goals. You need to be sure that those goals are what? Specific, and they are measurable. When you set goals that you cannot measure, you do not know when you've achieved them, then you need to go back to the drawing board. Because once your goal is specific, it is easier to measure. So when you cannot measure, I would like you to go back and check, how specific is that goal. The more ambiguous the goal is, the less measurable the goal would be. Always remember that. The more ambiguous the goal is, the less measurable the goal would be. So when you're struggling with indicators for measuring your goals, go back to the specificity of that goal and be sure that your goal is specific. Keep on peeling it until you get to that level. The next thing you want to look at is achievable. The goal you're setting, is it achievable? If you're just starting off in business in the last 6 months, and then you're setting the goal of becoming a national brand in the next 6 months, is that really achievable? If you're just joining an organization and you're giving yourself the goal of becoming a team lead, a departmental head in maybe 3 months, 5 months, 1 year, 6 months, how achievable is that? So you want to see how achievable the goal you're setting is, looking at, one, your capacities, the constraints, the time, the finances, and other resources that you need to invest into achieving those goals. You want to ask yourself the critical question: is this goal worth investing my time, my money, my resources? Is it worth it? Because you want to be sure that you can really achieve what you're setting out to do. Why sometimes we get, demotivated, we get afraid, is because we set lofty goals that are not based on anything. And that's why I said earlier on that it's beyond grit and determination. The technique you use in setting the goal also matters as to how much you can achieve, of your goals. So if you use this technique, the SMART technique, I bet you if you follow it, you're the likelihood of you achieving your goals, all things being equal, is really so high. And remember that SMART technique is just one of the techniques. There are several other techniques that you can use, in setting your goals and ensuring that your goals are achieved. Now, you also want to look at the R in that acronym, relevant. Ask yourself this question: How relevant is this goal to my other aspirations? How does it fit into my life vision? When you set goals that are cross purpose to your life vision, that are cross purpose to your aspiration, you will find yourself struggling because they are not in alignment. So you want to be very clear that that goal you're setting is worthwhile. It fits into your long-term vision. It's contributing towards you achieving your aspiration. So how relevant is it? How relevant is it? That skill you want to achieve or you want to learn, how relevant is it to your life's journey? So this is also another critical aspect of achieving your goals. Remember, you don't want to set goals that are cross purpose to your other aspirations or to your life vision. Otherwise, you find yourself in a place of perpetual struggle. In a place of perpetual struggle. So remember, we've talked about the S, the M, the A, the R, and now we're going to talk about the T. Time. It should be time bound. Every goal that you set needs to have a time frame. Put a time frame to it. By so and so date, I would have achieved this. Once you can put that time frame to it, you can then walk backwards and determine what actions you would need to take. But if you don't put a time frame to it, you will find yourself procrastinating. You will think that you have all the time in the world. You're still at that same goal. 2 years down the line, you've not made an effort. 3 years down the line, you are still proposing. 4 years down the line, whoa, you've not gone anywhere. Remember that time and tide waits for no man. Your time is a non-renewable currency, and you need to be very careful how you spend it. You want to spend that time wisely. You want to spend that time in pursuing the goals that are relevant to your aspirations, that are very specific and will bring you deep satisfaction. So as you go about setting your goals for the end of the year or setting more long-term goals for the future, I want you to really think about the process you engage in setting those goals. Let's not do like what we do, usually. Once January is upon us, the first week of everybody is so excited. We start declaring new year, new things, higher level, this, that, and we'll write all kinds of things. You get a new journal, you can write 20, 30 goals you want to achieve in 1 year. 2 weeks down the line, you've forgotten everything. You start giving yourself reasons why you don't even need to achieve the goals. Do you know why? Because you did involve yourself in very deep reflections. You didn't go through thorough process in setting those goals. So you're not even motivated enough to keep pushing at those goals. And that's why I said it's beyond grit. It's beyond determination. How you set the goal matters, because when you go through the process of setting the goals, you would know if that goal you're setting is worthwhile. You would know if that goal you're setting is even achievable. So you don't spend time, energy, money, and you get to a point where you say, you know what, why did I even embark on this? You know how sometimes you tell yourself, oh, I want to go into and study into this school, further my education and study this, and you're not benchmarking it, you're not aligning it to any other aspiration. By the time you're going through the rough process of trying to get yourself admission or trying to, study for the course, after 1 month or 2 months, you tell yourself, what is all this? How can I even manage this? With my work schedule, my this, my that, this is not a priority now. Meanwhile, you've spent a lot of time that is a non-renewable currency you cannot get back. You've wasted resources. You've wasted your energy. And then you now decide that you want to throw it away. I say this because I've walked down that path, and I know that grit and determination is not enough. How you set it. And that's why there is a technique you need to engage. And I'm bringing to you tonight the SMART technique. It's a very powerful tool for you to set effective goals and for you to achieve those goals. So before you wrap up your business for the year, try and set your goal for 2024. and use this technique. Be very clear, be very specific, have a deep understanding of what you want to achieve in 2024. One of the questions you can ask yourself is, what would it look like for me when I achieve this goal? For those of you that are wondering, how would I even know when I achieve these goals? You need to ask yourself those questions. What would it feel like? What would it look like? Why is this goal important to you? Why is not achieving this goal? How much of a pain would it cause in your life? Until you're able to clearly and articulately answer these questions, you may find yourself just going around in circles. So spend some time. This is not a one-off process. It's not a one-day process. It's not cast in stone. It is something you keep working on and fine-tuning until you come to your sweet spot. And you say, aha, this is it. I'm able to set these goals. And I know that these are meaningful goals and they are goals I look forward to achieving. And so as you move along in achieving those goals, you will just be ticking the boxes and saying, yes, I've achieved this, this is next, and you can celebrate your micro wins. When we talk about celebrating micro wins, how then do you know it's a micro win if you're not measuring, right? How would you know? How would you know what it feels like? And so these are very critical things that you need to put in place. So remember, we've talked about 5 things you need to do, and we're wrapping it up with this game changer, which is effective goal setting. Try it out. Don't, go into the new year like you would usually do and talk about resolutions. Resolutions are not goals. And that's why it's difficult for you to move ahead with them. They are resolutions. They don't carry as much power as effective goal. Because when you're setting effective goals, you are benchmarking, you are tracking, you are very clear, you are setting milestones, and you are moving forward. There are things in place, there's a structure, there's a framework for you to move ahead in operationalizing those goals. So move from just setting resolutions to setting effective goals. You'll be amazed, really amazed at how much you can achieve once you're able to use this technique. And it will help you in your appraisal. If, for instance, you use this technique in setting your goals at the beginning of the year, as we're wrapping up the year, remember one of the things I asked us to do as businesses is to evaluate your process for the year. Don't make the mistake of shutting down without really looking at your business holistically. Remember, we talked about data collection, we talked about your financial analysis of your business, so stock taking and all of that. You can only do this effectively if you set goals for your business. And so when you're reviewing and evaluating, you have a benchmark. You are actually looking at their milestones, there are things you're measuring, and you'll be collecting data over a period of time. So effective goal setting would also mean that you'll be collecting data. Remember, I told us there is practically nothing you will do without collecting data and analyzing your data. And it doesn't have to be something so mighty and scary. In your home, every day, Power Woman, you collect data, you analyze the data, and you make informed decisions based on those data. We're getting towards the end of the year. I'm sure you're taking stock in your home. Do I have rice remaining? Do I have beans remaining? What do I need to buy? You're watching. What do we need for the family? What have our spending habit look like? What has our eating pattern look like? All these things are data you're collecting, and you're making buying decisions. You're making feeding decisions based on the data you've collected. So don't get scared when we talk about data collecting, analysis, and information and decision making. No, you're already doing it on a day-to-day basis. Data is life. Every day of your life, you're collecting data. So what do you do with the data you're collecting? So use this strategy or this technique called SMART. Remember, it's SMART. S-M-A-R-T. S is specific, M is measurable, A is achievable, R is relevant, and T is time bound. I hope this conversation is very helpful and that you can take actions based on the conversations we've had today. Or perhaps this conversation does validate some of the things you're already doing. Remember what we keep saying here: actionable content. Implement the new knowledge you've gotten. Move forward on those ideas. Don't procrastinate, or you keep sitting on the fence. Or I will do this tomorrow. I will do this. Your tomorrow never ends. Tomorrow is not time bound. Put a date, put a time to that goal. Tomorrow never ends, because there will always be a tomorrow. But when you set specific time, dates, you're very sure that you can measure if you've met up your target as to that time frame. Great. I hope you found this very valuable. And I look forward to seeing you next week, Friday, as we have a concluding episode next week, Friday. Next week, Friday, we're going to be talking about the holidays. How do we get ready for the holidays? How do we make sure that we're able to rest, we're able to rejuvenate, and get ready for the year 2024? So thank you so much for joining me on today's episode. I hope you got value. As always, I will ask you to put down the value in the comment section. You can be rest assured I'll go through and read, and I'll respond to you. Also, if you do have questions, do not hesitate to put down the question. I love the interactive energy that we bring into this space. I'm so excited already. I'm so excited already for the end of the year, because the holiday season is coming up and we're going to be shutting down the Friday night hangout next week. We have some amazing offerings next week, Friday. You know how we roll. We would always end the year with our gifts. So come next week, Friday, we have gifts for you in celebration of the holiday season. As always, I love, celebrate, and honor you. Remain blessed, keep in action, and remember, set effective goal. I love you. Till we see next week. Bye for now.